15 minutes. Got carried away there. Seat's all messed up. I don't like that. All right. Samo Fudd, what's going on, man? Yeah, thank God it's Friday. Got a lot of moves to make myself. I'm going to have to rush through this. Yesterday I tried to come on, but for whatever reason, we had signal problems in this place. What do you think about them Packers, man? They looked pretty good last night. I'm asking the question, you think Green Bay, are they the best team in the NFC right now? Let you know that Washington still got a lot of work to do. You know, you would expect better performance out of Jaden Daniels. They kind of like kept him in the pocket, and that's what you got to do against these running quarterbacks. But again, this is just a early test, and these guys are going to put this film in a vault, and they're going to keep track of what these other teams do as they progress through the season. And then when they have to, they're going to pull it out and put up a new game plan. Now they have an idea about what they can and cannot do against each other. And that's what makes it exciting, because the adjustments is what makes the world of football go around. That's why we like pro football. College, they have the same kind of gamesmanship down there, but, you know, it still comes down to the team with the most talent is going to win that. High school is definitely a big disparage in talent in that level. And it's even worse when you have coaches trying to run plays and systems, trying to be like everybody else, but they don't have the personnel, and it just makes them get beat worse. Thank God for the running clock, because if we didn't have the running clock, some of these teams get beat 150 to nothing in a 48-minute game, and that is embarrassing. All right. Yesterday I was talking about the build-up to this Green Bay game, and you know, we got the big fight coming up this weekend. I wanted to touch on that too, but yeah, yesterday's gone. Can't do anything about it. So as we look forward to this week 2 in the NFL, I see that the Ravens, they're in a trash talk battle with the Browns. One of the guys, I think his name is Deppett, he talking trash about how easy it is to tackle a guy like Derrick Henry. Then the receiver for the Browns, he came out and said that that secondary is easy to beat. So he's basically predicting easy walkthrough for the Browns. I'd like to know what Selmo's got to say about that. Jerry Kids is with Buddy Love now. Well, you got to admit that Parsons makes a difference, and you got to understand that it was still a crazy move for the Cowboys to get rid of a guy like Parsons in his prime like that. And it just goes to show you he doesn't really care. As long as he gets his point across, or he comes out looking in a positive light in his mind, that's the way it's going to be. But it still goes back to that 48 Laws of Power, that book. The first rule on there is you can't outshine the master. And Jones felt like he was being outshined by Parsons and his manager or agent, and he couldn't deal with that. Even though he knows in his heart that he may be wrong, but he just can't have that image out there. He can't accept it. And he'd rather get rid of that issue than having to deal with it at all, even though he's probably dead wrong. And if you look over history, a lot of people have been killed behind certain things just like that, which is why I asked the question a couple of weeks ago. If this was 50 years ago, would Jones have Parsons executed? And I would venture to say that this is an executable offense to somebody like Jerry Jones. But that's just looking at what ifs kind of thing. All right, I told you guys that I do Fango Media, and what that is, if you don't know, there's a representative out of a correspondent, if you will, that will talk to fans as they come out of the stadium to get their takes on their teams. They have these light green shirts on, might be a sweatshirt, sweater. Either way, it's easy to recognize who they are, because the colors are so offbeat from everybody else that you can't help but stick out. Now, I talked to some of the Browns fans last year when they came through Selmo, and they had some pretty good insights about the team and the direction of their program. And I don't know how they feel about it now, but I know you guys got a good defense. If you score enough points, then the Browns are going to win X amount of games to cause enough trouble around the league. But I was out there Sunday talking to Jaguar fans, and I have posted the latest video into the link. And if you go to that link and click on it, it's a YouTube video, 5-6 minutes, whatever it is, and you get the idea about what fans feel about the Jaguars at this point. Now, of course, that's going to change as the season goes on because they're going to get a couple lumps on their head from here and there. And then, of course, fans are fickle. They go up and down according to how their team is doing at that particular moment, which is why a medium like Fango is pretty good. But you can go on there, you can check that video out, and you can also go back to last year, all the videos we posted, because we definitely had somebody at every game then. Not so much this year, kind of streamlined the process, but I still have the Jacksonville thing, so go and check the Jacksonville out, and there will be more of that to come. Now, quick note about what's going on around the league. San Francisco's got a quarterback problem. They have Brock Purdy is injured, and they don't know how long he's going to be out. And then you add to that the fact that Kittle, at tight end, he's going to be out for a couple weeks or several weeks. And San Francisco, all of a sudden, their passing game is in trouble. So the question is, do you stick with a guy like Mac Jones as your backup to try to get you through this rough point until Purdy comes back, or do you go out and try to make a move? Well, the obvious move would have been to call Cleveland to try to make a move with them. Well, you can't make a move with Cleveland because they pretty much settled on what they're going to do. They already sent their backup quarterback to the Raiders. Was it the Raiders or the Saints? I can't remember which one it was, but they sent them on a trade there to cut down the numbers on their room because, as you know, they were going to keep 4 quarterbacks, and I always felt that they were going to get rid of somebody or get some kind of draft capital out of them, and it turns out that's what happened because, in your mind, you know that some quarterback is going to get hurt at some point. But now, do you trade with Cleveland again for one of those 2 rookie quarterbacks they have, or do you call Atlanta and say, how much do you want for a guy like Kirk Cousins? Kirk Cousins, I don't know if you know it, but this guy's got the golden touch. Everywhere he goes, he just ends up in the right place. He got a lot of money when he signed with Minnesota out of Washington. And then when he came to Atlanta, he got a big contract. He's been, what do you call that, franchise tagged. It just, everywhere he goes, it just seems to work out for this guy financially. And now he's in a position that he can sign with San Francisco to make even more money. So if you're Kirk Cousins, you don't look like you're going to get on the field anymore with Atlanta with this young guy coming on, Penix. He's going to be the quarterback for a while, unless he gets hurt. And then Cousins got a little age on him, but he would be a perfect fit for San Francisco in a situation like this. So don't be surprised in the next couple of days if they don't get a call to see what it's going to take to get Cousins out to the Bay. And that would help them out a lot. But losing Purdy, Kittles, that is a huge loss. Because Kittles is dangerous. He opens up a lot of things, especially when you start flexing him out. And he becomes a matchup nightmare. And without him, I don't know if you have a suitable sub to be competitive. So San Francisco is going to be grasping for straws just to stay at 500 while this guy Purdy and Kittle, they're out. So this is an opportunity for a team like Green Bay to really stamp their name on the lead in the NFC. And by beating Washington last night, that was a huge step. They just seemed to be a step ahead of Washington all night. And because of that, it showed you some things that Washington needs to fix. And the league needs to take notice of what Green Bay is doing. That guy, Love, if he rolls out and get on the edge, he's really dangerous. You got to keep him in the pocket almost as much as a running quarterback, even though he's not considered one. So there's a lot to focus on there. All right, let's check out some of these comments. All right. Is that true? Keep it 200? What you talking about? Okay, you talking about LeBron. Let me see what's going on. All right. Raiders GM coach. Good. Why would they trade LeBron back to Cleveland? They signed the deal for whatever that contract was to make X amount of million this year. I don't think they would have done that if they were going to trade him. Plus, him going to Cleveland would not be a good match right now because Cleveland got a nice little young mix, and to bring in a guy like LeBron means you will have to shake up the whole team again, and he is not at that point anymore where he can dominate and make sure the team gets deep into the playoffs. I don't think he's at that level anymore. He's still great, but as you saw, when he had to play all those minutes in that playoff was against Minnesota, and he's pretty much dragged in the ground. I never seen him so beat down out that game, and that's because he can't play all those minutes like he used to. The young boys will run him in the dirt, and it wouldn't be a smart move for Cleveland to make that move. All right, shout out to the best NFL team, the Carolina Panthers. Well, you've been playing Madden football too long. You know, as you know, you can take any team on the season mode and take them through to the playoffs, and if you're pretty good at it, or if you put it on a low enough skill level, hell, you can win all your games and win the Super Bowl. So if that's the greatest, the best team in the NFL, the Panthers, yeah, I can understand that. But if you're talking about the team that just came out of Jacksonville, I don't think so, pal. A lot of people came down here from Charlotte. They weren't too happy about what they saw. They hurry up and got out of here. Even worse when they started picking at the guy about the Tar Heels, about that running game. He didn't even want to talk. He ran away from it. Big dude too, man. All right, so I asked you the question, is Green Bay the best in the NFC? 61% of you saying yes right now. It's still a small sample size. We hadn't gone deep enough in the season to really know what Green Bay is going to do and the wild card and all this. And I hate to say it, injuries usually play a part on who does what in the end. So let's just hope everybody stays healthy, nobody gets hurt, and that'd be my wish for the day. All right, Coach, you got Philly over KC this weekend? Kansas City is wounded right now. They're 0-1, and even if they lost to Philadelphia, it wouldn't hurt them so much because that's not a conference game. But I think their pride will make them want to step up against Philadelphia. I think over the summer, leading up to this game, you know that Andy Reid and his staff, they were in the lab trying to figure out how to protect up front. Philly's not as stout as they were up front. So I think Kansas City is going to be much more effective. What they did was they put pressure on Mahomes and made him get rid of the ball or put him on his back. And I've never seen a quarterback ever that can throw on his back. And I think they're going to fix that. And because of that, I'm actually going to take Kansas City this week to knock off Philadelphia. Going to be rough, but you're still talking about Kansas City, and they ain't dead like you think they are. Chargers, they kind of surprised them the other day in Brazil. But then again, you don't know who's going to do what until the game starts. Now you got them on film, you got something to go by. So I'm going to go with Kansas City this weekend. And River Visual says I gave them my paychecks on the Panthers this year. Well, you better go get you an extra job to make up for that income you're going to lose, because the way the Panthers playing, man, you're going to go broke. And it's one thing to be a gambler. You know, I can understand some of that myself, but at the same time, you don't throw it into the wind when you know the wind is blowing in the opposite damn direction. You just throwing away your money, man. So if you want to throw some money away, send me a postcard, man. I send you my cash app, man. All right. Green Bay is looking good, Corey B. But like I said, it's a long season. And if these teams can stay healthy, then I think Green Bay is going to have something to say about it. But, you know, at some point they're going to run across Philadelphia. Philadelphia is going to fix their heels. They know what it takes to win a championship. Green Bay at this point does not. And I think they got an edge over Green Bay. They beat them twice last year, and they won't see them if they play them this year. So right now I think Green Bay's got the edge. They look to be better at this point. But ask me that same question in 7 or 8 weeks, and I can tell you. Usually by week 8 or 9, I can tell you who the best teams are, especially in college. And it was 6, 7 weeks, and I can tell who the best teams are. So I'm going to need a few more weeks on both those leagues. But right now, they look pretty good. And I'm looking to see Alabama, how they bounce back against Wisconsin. You know, it's a slow team. They should be able to beat Wisconsin. They got like a 20-point line on that game. They played somebody last week, basically a practice game, scrimmage game. They bounced back. But I think that the big game in the SEC is two of them for different reasons. LSU's got Florida coming in, and Florida's got to show up. If they don't show up, then Napier, you might not make it through the midpoint of the season. You know, they got knocked off by South Florida last week at home, and they paid a whole lot of money to South Florida for the privilege. Now, South Florida, they hosting the Miami Hurricanes this week. So, you know, Miami is going to be fully aware of what South Florida could do. So I don't think South Florida can pull off 2 wins in a row. But if they do, that means they would have knocked off Boise State, then Florida, and Miami. Then that would make South Florida, they'd be a top 15 team in the nation right now if that's the case. But it's a tall order. But they can beat the Hurricanes, and they're going to be in good shape. Then the other one, Georgia and Tennessee. I think Georgia's window for a championship is closed for now. They're going to have to start over again. But Tennessee, it'll be interesting to see if they show up. They played Georgia tough over the last couple of years. For whatever reason, their quarterbacks couldn't make the plays in key moments. I'm a believer. He left and went to UCLA, and now they got another quarterback who's playing pretty well. So the question is, will he be able to stand up? Because, you know, Georgia's going to always have some front people. They're going to be coming after him. And if Tennessee can get by Georgia, then that would be a signature victory for Hypo. And to me, it was signaling the end to the run that Georgia's been on the last 6-7 years. That's just the way I see that. But a lot of good football. But yes, just to recap what I said, because I did a little work. You know, you heard the bell. I got to go sign in. I think that Green Bay right now is one of the best teams, if not the best teams in the AFC. I think San Francisco should call Cousins in Atlanta to come fill in the hole for Purdy being out and to reduce the loss of a guy like George Kittle. And I think that Georgia, if they lose this game, that's going to be the end of their run that they've been on in the last 8-9 years. And it's been a great run, but it's time for somebody else to step up. And in this day and age, one loss don't kill you, but at the same time, it hurts you when it comes down to comparing apples and apples, especially if it's a team you lost to earlier. It usually comes back to bite you. SEC is a tough road, so that doesn't mean it's the best, but it is a rugged road. And Georgia, Tennessee, they start out with that this weekend. So anyway, I hope you guys like and subscribe. Like I said, if you look into the description, there's a link to Fango Media, and it's the video we did on the Jaguars fans this past game. And if you go watch the other latest videos, you can see the other videos around the league that took place. And you can see that all year long, all week, after every game, there's going to be new videos. So check that out. It's a great idea, great venture. And if you want to hear some interesting stuff from some fans, check it out. That's the link in the description to Fango Media. But anyway, until next time, unless there's some breaking news, I'll come on later on today. If not, I'll catch you guys around 10 or 11 o'clock in the morning. And we can talk some college football. So until then, have a great day. Also, I told you guys, better watch out for those Steelers. Aaron Rodgers surprised a whole bunch of you, didn't he? By the way, the poll closed out 50-50. A lot of you think Green Bay is the best